Good afternoon. St. Petersburg Police Department assisted the FBI serving 3 search warrants in our city. It is an active investigation, but here this afternoon we have Special Agent in charge, Mr. Walker, and U.S. Attorney's Office, Mr. Hansberg, that will give you a brief synopsis of the case in our city. Mr. Hansberg.
Thank you, Chief. On Tuesday, a federal grand jury sitting in Tampa, Florida, returned an indictment charging Russian national Alexander Viktorovich Ionov with conspiring to use several U.S. persons as agents of Russia without prior notification to the Attorney General. As the indictment lays out in great detail, for a period of over 7 years, from December of 2014 continuing through July of this year, Ionov and his Russian government co-conspirators engaged in a malign influence campaign to sow discord, spread propaganda, and interfere in elections within the United States, all of which was orchestrated by the Russian Federal Security Service known as the FSB. The indictment sets out the objectives of this malign influence campaign. Among the foreign policy objectives of Russian government leadership is to expand Russia's sphere of influence. Russia targets the United States and its allies as well as other countries to further that goal. Through these influence operations, Russia attempts to shape foreign perceptions and to influence populations in a number of ways. It seeks to create wedges that reduce trust and confidence in democratic processes. It attempts to weaken U.S. partnerships with European allies, to undermine Western sanctions, to encourage anti-U.S. and anti-Western political views, and to counter efforts to bring Ukraine and other former Soviet states into European and international institutions. To achieve those objectives, Russia influence operations often use social media targeted at U.S. and global audiences to sow discord and mistrust in the United States and other countries' political systems. This social media results in the dissemination of disinformation that is intended to confuse and mislead citizens in the United States, in Europe, and even in Russia itself, as well as to recruit U.S. persons to advance Russia's operational goals. Recruitment is an important and essential part of these efforts. Russia has recruited and forged ties with persons and groups around the world who are positioned to amplify and reinforce Russia's messaging campaigns in furtherance of its goals of destabilizing Western societies. These efforts have included the use of organizations to surreptitiously seek access to people in the United States and elsewhere to advance and promote Russian interest. That is what is alleged to have happened in the case that was unsealed earlier today. Everything that I've just covered is alleged in the indictment that was returned by the Tampa grand jury. The indictment is 24 pages. It details a conspiracy that occurred over the course of 7 years. It sets out over 50 specific acts committed by conspirators in furtherance of the conspiracy. In particular, the indictment sets out several examples of how Ionov, under the supervision of the Russian FSB, directed and controlled the activities of 3 U.S. political groups, including one right here in St. Petersburg, Florida, another in Atlanta, Georgia, and a third in Sacramento, California. Ionov's taskings to these political groups included the filing of petitions with the United Nations, the promotion of separatist and secessionist movements, the funding of protests to create turmoil within the United States, and the publishing of pro-Russia propaganda. 2 further examples of malign foreign influence relate to local elections here in St. Petersburg, Florida. In 2017, Ionoff extended an offer of support and assistance to a St. Petersburg candidate for local office, including offering campaign finance. In 2019, Ionoff stepped up his efforts to interfere in St. Petersburg, Florida elections, reporting to the FSB that he had been consulting with a candidate every week and that he had personally sent money to the campaign as well as participated in a campaign fundraising event. Ionoff provided the FSB with a video of the local candidate delivering a campaign speech, and he reported on the percentage of votes the candidate received for the primary election. In September of 2019, Ionoff's FSB handler referred to the candidate's campaign as our election campaign, and Ionoff referred to the candidate as the candidate whom we supervise. Ionoff and the FSB continue to use these political groups to spread Russian propaganda in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. On February 24th of this year, the same day that Russia announced its invasion of the Ukraine, Ionoff reached out to leaders of the St. Petersburg group to inform them of the invasion. Ionoff later told the FSB that he had asked the St. Petersburg group for assistance in the information war unleashed by the West. On more than one occasion, the St. Petersburg group hosted Ionoff via video conference to discuss the invasion in front of an American audience. During these conferences, Ionoff spread Russia propaganda, falsely stating that anyone who supported Ukraine also supported Nazism and white supremacy. In March of this year, Ionoff used an Atlanta-based group to launch a protest against an American social media company that had placed content restrictions on posts supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Ionoff paid for members of that group to travel from Atlanta to San Francisco to protest at the headquarters of that company, where they carried a Russian flag and signs designed by Ionoff. Everything that I've just covered is alleged in the indictment, and those are just some of the allegations contained in the indictment. The prosecution of this type of criminal conduct is essential to protecting the American public when foreign governments seek to inject themselves into the American political system. The indictment in this case reflects the excellent work and partnership of several components of the United States Department of Justice. The prosecution team includes prosecutors from the Justice Department's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section and the Public Integrity Section, as well as prosecutors from my office. The investigation is being led by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which has conducted a thorough and meticulous investigation. On behalf of the United States Attorney's Office, I want to thank and commend the Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, the Public Integrity Section, and the FBI for their outstanding teamwork and partnership on this investigation. I also want to thank Chief Holloway and the St. Petersburg Police Department. We are honored to have Chief Holloway with us at this press conference today, and thank him and his police department for their help today. But this investigation is not over. It is ongoing. Federal search warrants are being executed today at multiple locations. Once that evidence is collected, the FBI will continue with its investigation and its thorough and meticulous review of the evidence. And my office and the other prosecutors on the case will do what we've already been doing on this case, which is we're going to work with our partners at the FBI to investigate these events and to continue to follow the evidence where it takes us. I'm now going to turn it over to FBI Special Agent in Charge, David Walker, who's going to talk about some law enforcement operations today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start off by thanking U.S. Attorney Handberg and Chief Holloway for their efforts today. DOJ and the City of St. Petersburg Police have been essential partners and cornerstones in this investigation. I'm David Walker. I'm Special Agent in charge of the Tampa Field Office. The FBI is the lead agency responsible for investigating malign foreign influence operations. The facts and circumstances surrounding this indictment are some of the most egregious and blatant violations we've seen by the Russian government in order to destabilize and undermine trust in American democracy. This indictment is just the first of our responses, but it will not be our last, and our investigation is continuing. In furtherance of this current Russian influence investigation, we executed 3 search warrants today in the city of St. Petersburg. Our efforts were not aimed at any specific group, organization, or ideology. The primary purpose of this morning's action was to collect evidence in support of this indictment and future indictments. This is a sensitive, ongoing investigation, so we cannot provide any further details about today's operation. The FBI's mission is to protect the American people and uphold the U.S. Constitution. We're also committed to protecting your voice, and we will utilize our resources, our partnerships, and global reach to identify foreign adversaries here in this country trying to create divide, separate this country, and have contempt for democracy. The Russian intelligence threat is continuous and unrelenting. But rest assured, the FBI and our law enforcement partners are equally as relentless in our efforts to expose these criminal campaigns interfering with the safety and security of our nation. Today's action should serve as a deterrent to other foreign adversaries that the FBI will not tolerate meddling in our democratic process. The FBI is prepared to identify and counter malign force influence operations targeting the United States. Thank you.
With that, we'll open for any questions.
If they were registered, would this make this activity legal? Is that the
Well,
line there?
I'm sorry, because of the ongoing nature of this investigation, we're not going to be able to take questions now, but we thank you for your interest. Thank you. Thank you for being here today.